start recording this. Pop this window, close. All right, so today I'd like to first focus on the federalism study guide, because I want to wrap that up and then move on to civil liberties. Let me share the screen. And so this is the federalism study guide. So if everybody could pull this up on their Google Drive, I'd really appreciate that. So I'd like to start doing a group activity with it. For people. Because what I'm going to do is that I'm going to split you guys into groups of 2 and have you work on answering these questions. And so to kind of make it a bit simpler and so that we can move on to the civil liberties questions. Or the ones that are court cases and the article, not the Govt California reading. I'm just going to have you give me a summary of what it's about. So let me just write. And then, so is everybody logged on to the Google Drive? Yeah?
Yep.
Okay. So, I'm just going to do, all right, actually, that's cool. So what I'm going to do is that there's this little function on Zoom where I put you guys into breakout rooms, so you're in your own private room where you can discuss everything. And I can, oops, and then they're randomly split up. Okay, so we have all right, great rooms. All right, cool. And so the rooms are going to be Anisha and Jordan, Amber and Joanna, and Andrea and Brian. And so Anisha and Jordan do McCulloch v. Maryland.
All right.
And then Amber and Joanna do the Loyola one. I'm not Loyola, not that one. I meant.
Wait, which one?
Lopez. United States v. Lopez. Sorry. And then Andrea and Brian do Devil and Devolution.
Okay.
And I shall let me open these rooms. All right, cool. So you should get a join button. Is it not sending you the prompt, Brian? Oh, there you are. Cool.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
Yay.
All right. So where are the readings online on the calendar?
Yeah, it's R1.
R1. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we're doing the amendments?
No, it's for federalism. So the Thursday readings last Thursday,
Oh, got you. You're doing last Thursdays. Okay.
because you're getting tests on both readings from last Thursday and this Tuesday.
Yes, got it.
So,
Now I see it. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
And you told him that you can't talk too much, right?
What?
Oh, she's recovering from a cold, so like her throat is kind of sore, so she might just have to type you things.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right, I'm gonna go check on the other people's.
Yep.
Okay.
Hey, ladies. How you guys
Hi.
doing?
We're talking over how we should answer the first one.
Okay.
Because in the article it says that since it doesn't affect
So I want you just to do summaries right now.
summaries of it.
Yeah, just give me a summary.
Okay.
Don't answer the question. That's why I put that full summary thing.
Oh, where is that?
It's right above like the question.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
So because we're pressed on time, so I want you guys just to do summaries, and that way we can talk about it, and then move on to like definitions for like civil liberties and everything.
Okay.
Does that clarify things?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go check on the other people's. I know that there's actually a function where you guys can ask for help. And so like I got like a little notification. So if
Well, are we right that is that what the article talked about? Because I don't know. I think it was a little confusing for me.
did you update it?
What? No, I'm talking about the article. Is it saying that that since it doesn't affect commerce, that it should be a state state law?
Yep.
Okay, because I don't write a summary about that and then it'd be wrong.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah, like you're saying, it's they're stretching what's necessary and proper to regulate interstate commerce.
Okay.
The point and everything. So I'll leave you guys to kind of polish that out. And I'm gonna just check on the others, okay? Unless you have any other questions.
No, that was just the other one.
Okay.
To like I don't really know exactly like kind of what the things the state does that affect us directly. That would be more like effective.
Right. I mean,
guys, I just wanted to remind you that you're writing a summary, not answering the question.
Oh, we were trying to write this whole questions.
Yeah, so just write a little summary of what the case is.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Hmm. Hmm.
Looks like it's just me. Oh.
Welcome back.
Hello.
So I'm gonna give you guys a bit more time and stuff like that because some people weren't sure that. I actually didn't make it clear enough that you guys were supposed to write summaries rather than answering the questions, as you two did.
Oh.
But I'm glad that you did because honestly, I think that you're answering the more important questions.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do summary for expedience sake.
Right. So do we need to go back and add some more stuff, or do we look good?
That looks, yeah, and like as long as you can give an example of like the tragedy of the commons, then I'd say you're good.
Yeah. Got that down.
I mean, if you guys want to be like extra cool and like extra students, you guys could like do a summary of the United States of America, the article below it.
Oh. Can we just say America's awesome? Is that allowed? Do I get points for that?
Not for these guys, because they're all about statism.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
But we'll get to it and we'll go over it as a class.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm gonna leave governing California to you guys.
Oh, the governing California?
Yeah, unless you want to go over it.
You were going to leave it to us to do,
Yeah.
or to?
Just to review and stuff.
To review it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. Okay.
But we can still go over it.
Mhm.
And everything. I just know that I'm a little rusty on it, and I didn't have time to review it.
Yeah.
But I
It's
can
like a
still-
couple of things, like Dillon's rule and home rule and general law, countries or counties,
And
stuff like that.
well, it's mostly the fact that he's really not going to ask you. That's not the question he's going to ask you guys about.
Right.
So it's like it's important. It's like something that you should do on your own for like just personal knowledge.
Hmm.
But I would say that it's not required for like the quiz and stuff. But then again, watch I say that, and that's what he tests you on.
But Vanessa said.
But Vanessa said that we wouldn't be tested on this. Part of the reading material. Of course you're going to be tested on it.
Right.
Vanessa doesn't control the questions.
Yeah.
If Vanessa did, then she'd be able to run this a lot more efficiently. Let me see how they're doing on.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I think this is pretty good, so I'll just have people come back. I should probably put on my video again.
Oh, we're back. All right.
Yep, you're back. We only have 50 minutes,
I
so
was
we have to.
I was like, dang it, my session's closing.
Oh.
I was sad.
You're having a good session?
Yeah, we're bumping music and everything.
Oh, nice. See, you're building a community. That's all this discussion
Oh, yeah.
thing is for. I mean, you gotta have study buddies. All right, let me share the screen, and then we can start going over this. All right, Group 1. Can one of you read your summary?
I will. In the article, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of creating the second bank of the United States. Ultimately, Maryland could not tax the bank, which led to the downfall of the state banks. Maryland's tax violated the constitutional sovereignty because it acted as a levy against all the people in the United States.
Mm-hmm. And so, for people that have reviewed the court case and stuff like that, does that sound accurate? Have any of you gotten to? Cool. And I also concur. So basically, the biggest thing that you need to get out of this is the federal supremacy clause, which is, federal law is above state law. It's supreme. And I think didn't they use the interstate commerce clause in this one?
Yeah, I believe that's on there.
Yeah. And banks are part of commerce, and thus it is a necessary and proper use of implied powers because it is fulfilling something that is necessary for trade. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
Cool. Let us move down to United States v. Lopez. Would one of you please read that, Amber or Joanna?
Okay, I'll read it. Okay, in the article, a 12th grade student was arrested for 3 years held with a gun. The state charges were dismissed after federal agents charged the child by complaint with violating the Gun-Free Zones Act of 1990. The federal charges were seen as unconstitutional because it is beyond the power of Congress to legislate control over ideas. The federal government claimed that having possession of a gun at school affected interstate commerce, but the court ruled that there were no ties.
And so, why did they rule that there were no ties? Well, could you tell us a little bit, like what what was the argument that they were trying to make by saying that we need to have this gun law in place? How'd they justify it?
Why did they did it?
Let's see.
I don't know. They just said that it didn't affect interstate commerce.
And so, yeah, like, and I'm asking why the other people said it did affect interstate commerce.
Oh, because schools, well, I guess it infect because schools actually never mind. I don't know.
Does anybody want to assist Amber, or can they?
I thought the final ruling was that it would affect because the schools were considered part of the value of a state, and so by not regulating, weapons, it is essentially damaging the value of that state in that area, making it less likely that people will travel to, that state with those laws, and not want to, put their kids in that school.
And so that was the argument, but it was struck down because it was seen to be too tangential of a justification for for this to be a necessary and proper use of implied powers.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, comparing this to the McCulloch v. Maryland, so here we have them wanting to build a bank, a federal bank, and that is directly connected to commerce.
Right.
Thus, that is a justified use of implied powers.
Right.
United States v. Lopez, they are tangentially justifying the use of implied powers because they're saying, oh, this can affect people coming to this area and people buying things, but it's not a concrete variable.
Right. Well, that's good because that sounded like a real thin argument to me.
Exactly. And that's why it was struck down in the Supreme Court.
Cool.
All right, let us move down. So for governing California, I would suggest that you look at this on your own. This is because often the professor doesn't test on this section of the reading, but in case he does, I would recommend just skimming over it. What's really useful in the Governing California textbook is that at the end of each chapter, they have an outline, and you can use that to fill in the blanks and kind of can get a general idea of what they're talking about and like what are the main points of it rather than having to go through and reading it. Has anybody seen what I'm talking about in the Governing California book?
I skimmed it, but I didn't see what you're talking about.
Does anybody have their book with them?
At the end, or
Governing California, they have their book.
It's at the end of each chapter, right?
Yeah. And it's like an outline.
Yeah.
So I would suggest using that as the way that you study, learn about the sections that he tells you to read. Mostly because he most likely won't test you on it, and you have a lot of other things to read. And so this is a way of efficiently breaking it down. But if you have a specific question relating to this reading, feel free to ask, and we'll try to answer it. But I bet that most of you haven't gotten to that yet. So if you are all right with going with that, then we can move on to the devil and devolution.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Then let us go to devil and devolution. So that was Brian and Andreas. And so they actually ended up answering the questions rather than giving a summary. So
Was that cool?
yeah. Okay, Vanessa didn't explain clearly enough.
That's what I thought we were doing too.
See, exactly. Vanessa didn't explain clearly enough. So Vanessa is going to talk in third person and take responsibility, and let Brian answer the questions.
Yeah, so I guess if we were to summarize this one, it would just say that he's talking about the drawbacks of devolution, of how they have some issues with the tragedy of the commons, where the more responsibility and power you give to the states, the more likely it is that there's going to be one or more of powers that they can use against each other, and for their own good and for the potential detriment of another state.
Yeah, as you were saying on number 9, it says more responsibility that the federal government places with the states, the more likely the states will use that power to compete with one another. As you say, increasing the tragedy of the commons. And so, can you explain what the tragedy of the commons is?
Andrea, you did this one. Did you want to take the lead on that, or?
I guess I can try.
Sure.
So, basically, like the tragedy of the common, like just refers to how if it's up to the states and they're gonna use their resources, or like, yeah, they're gonna use them selfishly, as opposed to like for the common good of the people, I guess, in this context. And then,
could you give us an example, like either like the gambling, environmental, divorce, or welfare examples?
Yeah, we were talking about that one. The how Hawaii just kind of got to decide, oh, we're just going to allow gay marriage now, and then if you combine that with the full faith and credit, law, all the other states have to support that, and so essentially, gay marriage is now legal everywhere as long as the ceremony happens in Hawaii, and nobody really got a say in it. So.
Yeah. And then another example would be the environmental. So, California, we have all these environmental regulations and everything, but those regulations won't really do much good if we're getting polluted water, let's say, coming down from Oregon, if they don't have the right regulations.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the environment is a common thing that we all share, no matter where we are in the world, and thus, by one area abusing it, it abuses it for all of us. Yeah. So there was a really good analogy for the tragedy of the commons. It was about the shepherds sharing the pasture.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain that, Brian?
So essentially the commons is like a field, and the entire village shares that field, except the shepherd, or the farmer, or rancher, I guess would be the right term, raises livestock, and they eat the grass of the field, and so he benefits from raising as many as the grass can support. And then if you add another shepherd in there and they all share that same resource, their livestock are going to be doing the same, but it only benefits them to raise the additional one more or the additional amount, whereas it detracts from everybody's field.
Yeah, so basically it's not letting your animals overgraze, so you share the field with others. All right, and then can you answer, under Donahue's reasoning, what types of issues are best handled by the federal government instead of the states? Are there any issues you believe he would think ought to be left in the hands of states? If so, give an example of such an issue.
So we said health and safety regulations are going to be one of the biggest ones
For national
to handle, right? Because it was it's very easy for them to slacken that regulation and use that money elsewhere, and the people suffer for it, and the state benefits.
Yeah.
And then, you take a look at something like infrastructure. If they let that slacken, I mean, this is kind of similar to, I guess, the health and safety. But if they, let stuff like that go, or like the police force go, it makes it a lot less desirable to live here.
And you feel it a lot sooner at the state level than you do at the national level.
Right.
And thus you'll get a faster response.
Yeah. So.
All right. Does everyone feel good with that section?
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's move on to the United States of America. And so I'm gonna leave that up to everybody, kind of open that up to everyone. Can somebody tell me what the main point was for this article?
What was it about? My notes do not have that in there.
Better reread then.
Yeah.
So from this article, I got that like Epson and I don't know how to say the other last name.
Loyola?
Yeah. They're pretty much like the anti-federalist, where they want the states to have the most power because they believe that the states, since they're closer to the people and like their needs, they would be better at governing them and stuff and like creating the type of laws and regulations. So that's what I got from it as the main thing.
Yeah, that's perfect. These guys are total anti-federalists. They want everything to be devolved to the state level because they think that's how our country's better run that way, because states are closer to the people and thus they have a better idea of what we need, and let them actually explore what they want to do and what's right for their state, which may not be right for another state. So, yeah. Any questions? If there's no more questions about federalism, then we'll move on to civil liberties.
Let's do it.
All right. Let's go. So, with civil liberties,
Which one? The first or the second one?
Civil Liberties Study Guide 1, and it's gonna have like the bunch of lines next to it instead of the W, because the bunch of lines opens it up into the Google Doc.
Okay.
Are those terms
Yeah.
you have to define?
And so I'm gonna break you guys into your groups again and have you define the terms. And actually, since and because there's three articles. Let's see what time it is. Oh, 41. Okay, actually, we have 10 minutes till. So I'm gonna leave up like I'm just gonna suggest that you guys work on the definitions after class and stuff like that. You know, just so you all have the same kind of study guide. But because we only have 10 minutes left, I would like to go over the articles. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Okay. So the first one is Christian fundamentalist bigotry reigns at U.S. Air Force Academy. Who read this one?
Yeah.
Do we just say like the summary of it, or like a little bit, or what do you?
Yeah, I just want a little summary of what this is about.
So basically, it's talking about the Air Force Academy. I believe it's in
It's in Colorado.
yeah. So it talks about how the like cadets and like the whole like basically the whole system or this particular academy. How do I say? I guess they prefer, or they yeah, like they prefer those who are Christians, and like they kind of try to like the cadets that are Christians, they kind of try to talk to the other cadets and like have them like change religion and stuff like that, because they believe that like if they don't, like they're going to hell and stuff like that. And they also have like silent prayers before like they do the training. And so like a lot of people are being critical of this because it's like specifically this religion, and they're not really allowing other religions to be as free exercising in the academy like as the Christian.
Yeah. And so the issue with this is that by singling out one religion as being like the religion that they're encouraging and practicing, they are thus establishing their evangelical Christianity in the Air Force Academy, because they are representatives of that and are incorporating it into their processes. And that violates the establishment of religion within the federal government, within the government in general. And that's part of the First Amendment. And you know what? Actually, do you guys read the first 10 amendments in this? Guys, is the 10 minutes part of your reading?
Yeah, it's in there.
Okay. So I just want to make sure that you actually read the first one,
Mhm.
because there's two parts to it. It's the establishment part and the free exercise right.
Mhm.
And that's where there can be the differences and stuff like that, compared to the Jails for Jesus, which is about kind of free exercise. And that was your question, Brian.
Mhm.
And so let me actually pull up first. Someone actually see the wording of it. So Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. And so that is going to be those two. That line is what we're going to be focusing on, as far as if what they were doing at the Air Force Academy was legitimate, and if what they were doing in the jails were legitimate.
Mhm.
And so in the Air Force Academy, it wasn't considered legitimate because they were establishing a religion, and that conflicts with the free exercise, because they were even ostracizing those who did want to practice other faiths, if one reads the article. And then in the Jails for Jesus, can you tell us, Brian, what they were doing there?
So in that case, it was somewhat similar, just a slightly different flavor of it, where the state government, or the state prison system was allowing the church to get very involved in the reform of prisoners through a program. However, they would only extend this to Christian program, and the Muslims and other religions were not involved or included. And so at one point they said, anytime that a Muslim tried to pray, they hit the panic button. But meanwhile, there's all this other stuff going on for the Christian groups.
Yeah, they get like free pizza and stuff like that.
Right.
And so, but these people were coming in and being like, okay, hey, if you choose to practice this and you choose to reform via the Church of Christianity, then you're going to get these benefits, and you might even get out earlier. And so they're arguing that they are just creating a space for the free exercise of Christianity, but because of the bias that is going towards the prisoners and the discrimination towards those who aren't a part of it, that is where it comes into conflict, and the possibility that they're trying to encourage a certain religion over others, kind of establishing it. And so that's where it's a very tricky issue. Personally, I would say that they're on the line of establishing a religion, because they're discriminating against the others. If there wasn't, like direct discrimination and stuff towards those practicing other religions, and they're able to freely exercise, then there wouldn't be as much of a problem. But because they're doing that, it's more troubling. Because that's not really true free exercise. It's only for some and not for others. And then the middle one was free speech zones. So we're at 6:50. Do you guys want to talk about this before we leave?
There shouldn't be free speech zones.
Yeah, basically. Can you explain what free speech zones are? Sorry, I keep on picking on you.
No, that's fine. So just essentially the fact that in order to better control the crowds, the Bush administration had free speech zones set up that essentially quarantined. It was a zone, but it was a quarantine for everybody so that they could control the messages written on their boards. And there's more than one case of where a guy was saying it's more of a "you don't like my sign" zone.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not free speech.
Yeah.
Even if it's under the guise of protection.
Right. I sympathize with those guys. Their job is tough.
Yeah. It is difficult. And so, yeah. Does anybody have any other opinions about this? Do you agree with Brian? Do you think he's totally wrong? Is he off his rocker? Free speech zones. What the heck?
You're safe with the off the rocker part. Safe bet there.
Or you guys
I'm
are
gonna-
just done and you just want to leave.
I'm gonna drive home.
All right. Let's stop it here and everything. But next time we'll go over Tuesday's lecture, and if you'd like, we can go over these again and make sure that you have them down. Would you
Yeah.
guys appreciate that?
Sounds good.
Alrighty. I shall see you either tomorrow or the next day. Have a good night, guys.
All right.
So